who is your take a chance running back?
I want to say there's a whole series of them that are going at around the same price range. Kind of starts with Travis Etienne Jr., Javonte Williams in Dallas, Jaden Blue, Bashal Tootin, and Tanks Bigley. There's a whole range of guys in there in the same price range.
We're back here with part 3 of my podcast with Bob Harris from Footballguys.com. He is the co-host of the Football Diehards show on SiriusXM Radio Monday through Fridays, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. We have done 2 segments here where I got Bob's takes on new players, on new teams. We did all of the top-down news, Rashee Rice suspension, wide receiver holdouts, Najee Harris on the NFI list. We're going to wrap things up here with Bob, segment 3. I'm going to steal something from his own show. Because why not, right? He does a segment on his own show. I don't know if you actually do it on Tuesdays. Do you do it on Tuesdays?
We do it on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
yes.
so Taco Tuesday tied in. It's the Taco series, which is Taco. Take a chance on me. So I want to get your favorite take a chance players, Bob. Let's start the quarterback position, and I want to talk about not just necessarily late round guys, but let's say you're someone that's playing the waiting game at quarterback and you end up just waiting too long and like you get that wave of quarterbacks that goes. So if you get froze out of kind of QB1 range, who is a quarterback that like you're most excited about to say like, hey, for either early season schedule or upside, I'm looking at this player.
I'm looking at Caleb Williams, right? I mean, we all know what he was coming in last year, and it was a struggle. I'm going to say Shane Waldron might have had something to do with that because when Shane Waldron left, Thomas Brown came in and we got 3 top 5 performances in the next 4 weeks from Caleb Williams. We bring Ben Johnson in. He follows kind of an approach we've seen in the past, bolster the middle of that offensive line, add some receiving weapons, add a creative play caller. And I think he's going as quarterback 13 right now. I think that's, I don't want to overpay for him, but I think that's a great price for him. And I think there is upside. If I wait way late, Rich, I want a guy that kind of followed the same game plan. And I know I might be a little out front on this one, but Bryce Young last year, you look at the guy who, like, I'm trying to think of a worse rookie season. It was horrible. But you look at the last year from like week 12 on, he was quarterback 6. But more than that, he turned into the thing that they told us he would be. And credit to Dave Canales. Again, you follow that game plan. You come in, you bolster the middle of the offensive line, you establish a strong rushing attack. You keep adding weapons, which they did again this year with Tedero McMillan. I think there's some things to like here. And it looked to me like just watching, especially against the Chiefs last year was in particular, it seemed like the game where the switch flipped for him. And all the things they told me Bryce Young was a fast processor, a guy who could beat blitzes, a guy who could find the open guy. All those things came true. And so, like, if you're waiting way late in your drafts, and you can wait way late in your drafts, he's not a player I'm shying away from. I think I'm embracing the rise and embracing the price in particular.
Yeah, and I think that just something I want to reiterate, I said it in the second show that you and I recorded, was just that if you do get kind of frozen out of quarterback on those opening 2 tiers, you just don't want to pay the iron price, or the draft room is aggressive on quarterback, and you don't get the Josh Allens, the Lamars, the Jalen Hurts, the Josh Daniels. You don't even get a Joe Burrow. It's just a really wide net of quarterbacks, I think, after that I would be really comfortable at least starting the year with. And you brought up Bryce Young, one of kind of my favorite guys to play based on like a schedule. I mean, you look at the first 4 games for Bryce Young, which say, just get me through the opening month and let me calibrate. They open with the Jaguars, a team that we don't really know or have really any high expectations for, right? Then they get the Arizona Cardinals, a team that's, capable of Jonathan Gannon, but not a team that you're generally scared of. Then the Falcons, and then the Patriots. Like that's like 4 winnable games and 4 games where like you're not going to be really necessarily scared. 3 of those are on the road, which you would rather than be at home. But I look at his opening schedule and I'm like, I'm going to know right away if like Bryce Young's going to give me something out of those games. So I love that call. So let's talk about, running back here. Who is your take a chance running back?
I want to say there's a whole series of them that are going at around the same price range. Kind of starts with Travis Etienne Jr., Javonte Williams in Dallas, Jaden Blue, Bashal Tootin, and Tanks Bigley. There's a whole range of guys in there in the same price range that if I miss on one, like I have a scary portfolio full of Javonte Williams because I think he's going to be the lead back. But again, if we go to some of my little used fantasy football strategies, the Sesame Street version, one of these things is not like the other. Jaden Blue might be the guy who comes through. So I do want some shares of that as well. I think all three backs, somebody's going to hold down that lead role or at least open with it in Jacksonville. And the prices, they aren't crazy. You're looking at guys that are going at close to wide receiver, a running back 45 to 50 kind of range. I think that's a fair point with the upside that's possible if any of them lands the starting role.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we're 2 years removed from, Travis Etienne having back-to-back 1,400-yard seasons. Like, the efficiency was never great. Maybe that's why he looks more like on the Rachaad White end of the outcomes. But like, this was a first-round pick that had 2 productive seasons his first 2 years in the NFL. He obviously missed his first season, but his first 2 years playing was hyper effective in terms of counting stats. Still probably a viable player, and he's playing for the bag too, Bob. Like,
yes.
he's gonna be an unrestricted free agent,
whether he's Jacksonville or somewhere else, right?
Right.
I think I love that. Rich, I love the free square plays. And there's one you mentioned, Rachaad White. I would be remiss if I didn't point out Sean Tucker is the 20th pick in many drafts for me. We saw the huge game against New Orleans last year. Look, I'm not saying Bucky Irving's a one-year wonder, but I'm wondering, right? And you're opening the season without your top offensive lineman for a month. I have questions about that. So if you're taking a last round pick with a dart toss, I'm not afraid to throw it at Sean Tucker, who, remember, came into the league as an undrafted free agent only because he had a heart condition that basically kept people from drafting him. The Bucs threw, I want to say, at least the highest running back contract, maybe the highest contract of any of the undrafted rookies that year. And there's something to that. So I'm interested in him as totally a dart toss, people. Don't get over your skis on this one, but definitely last round pick.
Yeah, and I'm not going to intend to throw cold water on Bucky Irving. I will just say,
right.
I wrote about this in the running back tiers that I posted on the site too. But he does fit in that archetype of second year running backs that weren't like drafted with high capital that we kind of overvalue in year two. Second year running backs who were drafted as RB1s, that were drafted outside the first 2 rounds in fantasy football have been really kind of like shaky investments, especially guys that were drafted around the Bucky Irving zone, like pick 125, right? Sure. Like, he's right around guys like Jordan Howard and Jeremy Langford and Zach Stacy, Andre Ellington, right? Like, this is a lot of ghosts of fantasy football past, right? For sure. Like, we could get the big run out of like a Devin Etienne or like an Alvin Kamara, but those were guys who were drafted 60 picks and 40 picks ahead of him. He was in the draft too. Good player. Don't mind Bucky Irving at all, but I do think that his price point does fit into like a bucket where Correct. It's like, we've been burned in this area before a few times. So a little bit of pause for the cause there, but wide receiver is always fun. Like, we see late round wide receivers all the time kind of pop. So like, I got to know, like, what late round wide receiver are you taking a chance on?
So like, I often draft, it's a funny thing. We worry about age and, you look at players who have established roles. Well, established roles come over time. So they often include age. Adam Thielen's probably nearing the end of his run, but the last 2 years have been phenomenal. Even in Bryce Young's horrible rookie season, Adam Thielen put up huge numbers. Ended up, I want to say, as wide receiver 18, but for most of the season was a wide receiver 1. Last year, he came back, and once Bryce Young got fired, so did Adam Thielen. I don't think he'll play the same role, but he's like wide receiver 60 plus in ADP. I think if you're drafting your wide receiver 5 or 6 at that point, you can have a lot of fun. If I'm going with a younger guy, I think Marvin Mims in Denver is a guy I'm looking at. He seems to be gaining ground. Sean Payton seems to like him. See, he's emerged an all-around weapon. If you're in a return yardage league, that just adds to the pie. But he ended last season 545 yards from scrimmage, 6 touchdowns, huge increase, and he's going as wide receiver 61 round 13 this year. I think he could do worse. Also, this might be because I have a lot of Bo Nix shares as my quarterback. It is a cheap stack.
Football season is right around the corner, and there's no better way to lock in your fantasy dominance early than with Best Ball on DraftKings, where you draft once and ride your roster all season long. And right now, DraftKings is giving all customers a can't-miss offer. Draft one, get one. Enter a lineup in the $15 million Best Ball contest for just $20, and you'll score another Best Ball ticket to play free for a share of $15 million, giving you a second shot to win big. It's easy. Just draft your dream team once, no weekly management required, and let your top scorers automatically start each week. Across the whole season, every breakout star, every clutch play, every touchdown will count towards your quest for a share of $15 million. And if you're looking for someone to plug into your best ball lineup, there's nothing better to buy than year 2 wide receivers. Looking at wideouts that have been selected outside of the top 24 based on years in the league, second-year wideouts have delivered the highest hit rates for beating their ADP and delivering wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 scoring seasons. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app now to draft your $20 best ball lineup to play for a share of $15 million and get a second ticket to play free for a share of $15 million. That's 2 chances to win big without ever setting your lineup again. Draft one, get one. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Yeah, I brought up Adam Thielen a few times. Just a guy that I don't think you're going to, because you don't have to draft him, like you said, at a point where like he's a starter. But I do think he's going to be a thorn because he's shown that in each of the last 2 seasons that him and Bryce Young do have chemistry. I mean, he's provided pockets of like fringe wide receiver 1 production. That might not happen with Ted McMillan, but I do think he's still going to be kind of a focal point of Bryce Young. I mean, he has over 100 quarterback rating targeting Adam Thielen the past 2 years.
Right. I find it irresistible. Again, I'm not afraid. I don't shy away from the older players for that reason, is because they have been around. They have established themselves in roles. Look, I have a ton of Derrick Henry. I'm not shying away from him, nor has he given me any reason to. But I mean, I think there are people that worry about players falling off the cliff, and we can overstate that case. And I think Aaron Jones' price has a lot to do, right now is fairly low, maybe because Jordan Mason's there, but also because I think people see him as nearing the end of his run.
Yeah, we talked about this with Ian Hartitz on last week's podcast. You don't necessarily want to, run away from age, especially in this era where, people are like, these guys are taking care of their bodies better than they ever. Like they're investing millions of dollars in everybody. Like, look at what LeBron's doing in the NBA. But you're worried when age comes with like declining efficiency, like maybe like a Cooper Kupp, but like these players, like you brought up, like Derrick Henry, even Adam Thielen, like I said, when he was playing each of the last 2 years, he was really an efficient player. When they haven't shown like a big steep decline, like there's no reason to keep kind of going back to them, especially when people are pricing in the age before that, like guys like Aaron Jones, right? Still over 5 yards per touch last year. So on a team that we believe in that also invested in their offensive line, Darisaw is going to miss some time to start the year, but they did sign, Ryan Kelly, Will Freeze, they draft Donovan Jackson. So it's at least better than where we left off last year as well. So that's kind of how I've been treating age. I like that you brought up Marvin Mims. I would just love to see Sean Payton, you kind of let him play, right? Like, and we saw a little bit towards the end of last year, but then yeah, but then they add Evan Ingram, add Pat Bryant, right? Yeah, I mean, Denver last year when Marvin Mims was on the field, they averaged 6.3 yards per play with just him on the football field. Not even him getting the ball, just step foot on the football field. Marvin Mims, they averaged 6.3 yards per play. Without him, 4.8 yards per play. That's a difference between second in the NFL and 29. Right. It's like if I know that, Sean Payton has to know that, or someone had to have brought it to his attention. So like, let's let him go out there and play. Let him make some mistakes, right? Let him make some mistakes, Sean Payton. It would be pretty fun. I got to get you out of here for the last position here, which is tight end. And this is another position of more have-nots than haves, where if you don't get a Trey McBride or a Brock Bowers or a George Kittle, it's a position you're largely waiting on. So what tight end are you waiting on, Bob?
Like if I miss the elite tier and like I have eyes for George Kittle, I think the price is right for him, and maybe look, I don't like paying the historic premium, Rich, and we're paying a historic premium on Brock Bowers, and that's fine. I understand why you do it in a tight end premium league. I might do it. Trey McBride seems like positive touchdown regression's coming. He's not. I don't think he's overpriced, but Kittle is priced right. Top 5 tight end every year. He plays at least 14 games. But if I miss on that tier, I'm okay punting, and that's because you start around wide tight end 16 or so with Jake Ferguson, who's 2 years removed from a really good season, or a year removed from a really good season. And Dak Prescott and his own injuries last year were limiting factors. But I'll take that all the way down. Like, I'll take a chance on Brenton Strange at tight end 19-ish. I'll go all in on Hunter Henry at tight end 20. I'll go crazy for Zach Ertz at tight end 22. I mean, I think you can literally punt at the position and still cobble it together reasonably well.
Yeah, I like Hunter Henry a lot. We've heard basically every show I've been on this entire offseason, everyone likes Drake May, I haven't found anyone that dislikes Drake May. Yeah, I'm sure there is someone out there saying like, "Hey, I'm that person that dislikes him." But for the most part, everyone's piping up Drake May, and but all of Drake May's pass catches are cheap.
Right.
So like he's a guy, especially in these best ball leagues, because like Hunter Henry's not going to go out and give you a Brock Bowers season, but he is a guy that we know is going to be on the field. He was top 10 in route participation last year. He was top 10 in targets per route run. He was top 10 at the position in terms of red zone targets. And we know Stephon Diggs is going to pull away a little bit of that because Stephon Diggs is a target earner, but the rest is pretty nebulous still in New England. I still think Hunter Henry is going to be a pretty big focal point. He's really easy to stack in these backdoor stacks with Drake May, where you get Drake May. So I've really found like, it's like, man, everyone's getting themselves to the North Star of Drake May, but how come we're not like adding Hunter Henry into the mix here? So I'm glad that you
I think the prices for me, like for May, for Stephon Diggs, who's like wide receiver 45 right now, I think that maybe that's going to change. Albert Breer talking today about, he's maybe going to be ready week 1. That might change the equation a little bit. But I mean, he's never been worse than a wide receiver 2, and mostly better for our perspective. So if you're getting him as wide receiver 45, you're getting Drake May outside that top 12, and then you can wait on a guy like Hunter Henry. Feel free, kids.
I love it. Listen, that is why he is the football diehard and a Hall of Famer. Bob, let everyone know kind of what you're doing here, for the rest of the summer, where everyone can kind of find you. And am I going to see you in August?
You will see me in August, where we first met, and I hope your son's with you so we can talk about Danny Dimes' rise. That would be fantastic. But yeah, I'll be at the Expo. I'll also be on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, as you mentioned at the top of the show, every weeknight throughout the summer, 8 to 10 p.m. Once the season starts, people, steal yourself. You're not going to be able to miss me. I'll be on Sirius 7 days a week. We do an NFL radio show on Saturday nights for 3 hours. I'll do the pregame show with Jeff Mans on Sundays. You can catch me at Footballguys. All my fantasy notebook comes out every week. Kind of take an in-depth look at that's all the kind of fun stuff that you like to think about, talking a lot about values. Also on the Audible channel, I'll be doing all my usual live streams every week and my On the Hot Seat show, where at some point you'll see Rich Hribar.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be grateful to come on anytime I can spend with you. I'll take it. For Bob, as a reminder, you can go over to sharpfootballanalysis.com, use promo code SHARP5. You can get $5 off the 2025 preview book or the 2025 draft kit. Other than that, we are in the throes of summer here, in the throes of football season. I'll be back next week with another guest, Jeff Mueller, where we'll be talking about the biggest injury news of the offseason. So look for that next week. Good luck, gamers.